Welcome back to the show. We're going to get right into this article from Relevant Magazine written by Samantha Field. We're going to just kind of take it bit by bit. We may not hit every single thing that she said, but we want to do a little editorializing and just talk through just sort of our perceptions of some of the things that she said.
Yeah.
So let's start.
And if you're mad at us, be mad.
Yeah.
But what we're going to ask is that you engage what we say, not necessarily what you feel.
Right, and for those of you who like to hyperventilate over white privilege and male white privilege,
I'm a privileged white male.
Okay, so
doesn't mean that what I say is wrong.
Exactly. We recognize.
Doesn't mean that what I say is right.
We recognize our privilege. Okay.
Yeah.
And we recognize that we wish we had some women in this room today. Actually, we tried to get Samantha Field. She was busy. She's in the middle of finals.
Hopefully, she's going to join us in May.
In May.
Hopefully she'll join us in May.
And we were hoping that Sarah Bessie would be on with us, but she's writing a book.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about her hashtag.
So the elephant in the room is we're two white privileged dudes who sit atop the world looking down on all the plebes. And we understand that there's no women involved in this conversation, but we're desperately trying to get women involved because we want to hear, we want to understand.
Right. And we've been asking a lot of women to respond to the article and respond to the hashtag that Sarah Bessie had going last week, Things Only Christian Women Hear. Yeah. I mean, we might talk about that a little bit more later if we
maybe even in the next episode. This is gonna transcend one episode.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Rick, should I just read some of what she said, and then you and I could talk about it?
Yeah. Why don't you just hit the first part there?
Okay. So she says, and by the way, this article also had a lot to do with she kind of pivots off of what's been going on with Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
And
can I just say it's fascinating to me that Bill O'Reilly and whatever things he's done serves as a springboard to bash Christians and pastors.
I was also intrigued by the transition from that into this. And I understand what she was trying to make the point. How come there aren't more Christians that are outraged by Bill O'Reilly's behavior? And I'm thinking to myself, what Christian isn't outraged? Is it just because they're not flaming on Facebook?
Are there Christians who are how many serious Christian leaders and thought leaders in the evangelical world are saying, it's not that big a deal. What he did is fine.
Yeah, right.
Is anybody defending that?
I don't know. So let me read her quote.
Hey, can I just say this? How often do I have to be outraged? There are things in the world that bother me. I give my time to fixing those things. I give my money sacrificially to fix those things. But at some point, I have to live my life, and I can't be bunched up emotionally all the time.
Right. So maybe should we say the silent majority of Christian men are probably going,
this is horrible.
That guy's a douche if these things really happen.
Did you say that to my wife or my daughter or my friend, I'd punch you in the throat.
Exactly. So she says, as a sexual abuse survivor, the last year has been excruciating. After the tape surfaced of now President Trump admitting that he grabs women by the genitals without their consent, I was horrified as Christians of all stripes responded with variations on boys will be boys.
Man, I join her in being baffled at the enthusiastic support by the Christian community and leaders who gave just kind of unqualified, unquestioned support to Donald Trump. I join her in that. I mean, if you go back to previous episodes that we did, we called the election a turd sandwich. We weren't happy with any candidate that we really had.
Right.
And I get that. Man, Christians, like other groups, but Christians are not immune to thinking that a political leader is going to do them some favors, and so they just turned a blind eye to some really despicable things. But I don't know of any Christians who said, hey, boys will be boys, and that's not a big deal.
I don't know any that did either. I mean, even his VP candidate distanced himself from the comments. By the way, as grotesque as Trump's comments were, and I do believe they were grotesque, he was describing consensual action. This seems to get lost in the translation. He said they let you do anything if you're a star.
But let me just say,
I'm disgusted as the next person, but we want to be accurate.
I can understand the women who would say he says that, but they're not really letting him. They don't.
They feel like they don't have a choice
in that moment to say no. And so I can't. I can't go there. I can't go there.
I'm still crunching on the whole deal, but that is a. That is a technical reality of what he was saying.
I would say that crosses the line of abuse.
It's manipulative.
Oh,
it's
my
totally
gosh.
manipulative and gross and disgusting. But
But are there
know.
any Christians out there who are saying what Trump did and what Trump talked about is okay? Are there any Christian leaders out there? I mean, serious leaders, not knuckleheads, not Bob's church in the middle of some fortress in the woods in the Ozark who's collecting guns and ammo and wants to overthrow the government. Not that kind of fringe group. But I'm talking about, is there any serious Christian leader who's saying, yeah, what Bill O'Reilly did is fine. It's defensible.
Yeah, not that I know of. Nobody. Everybody was disgusted.
Yeah. Okay.
There was universal disgust going on. Anyway, she goes on to say, this month I felt my stomach turn again as my fellow believers defended Bill O'Reilly, who has now been fired from Fox News for allegations of sexual and racist harassments. Who?
I don't know who
she's defending.
I don't know.
Someone. She's got someone in mind. I'm baffled, Rick. Is this in her Facebook feed? I haven't seen one professing believer defend O'Reilly. Myself, I expect this stuff to be true.
There may be some out there. I'm totally unaware of it. And it would be nice if she said, these are the people I'm talking about, but she doesn't ever reference them. So
right. Now, call it intuition just from watching him with his female guests, but I sort of expect that there's some reality to what's being said about him. Yeah. But that's just me. So I'm outraged if it's all true, and I don't know anybody who's defending. But anyway, we would love to know who she's talking about so that we can excoriate them.
Hopefully she'll come on the show, and if she could say, hey, it's this person, then I will say, hey, I join you. That person is horrible.
Let's shame that person publicly.
Did. I don't like guilting and shaming people, but I'll say, hey, that act is wrong and unacceptable.
It's much more fun to guilt and shame people when you know who they are.
Yeah.
Okay, so then she goes on to say, I cannot help but feel that if many Christians are forced to choose between compassion for victims or their political ideology, politics are going to win every time.
That may be true.
Quite possibly. However, I can understand the cynicism of some who have a hard time believing that people making the people that are making the claims. Like the story in the Inquirer, do you remember when they said that Ted Cruz was having multiple affairs? I mean, anything is possible, but that story died overnight.
Yeah.
So there is some cynicism in the public on should we believe these people? Should we not believe these people? But she's probably right. Yeah. That there are people, because of their political, they're like, oh, well, they don't want to believe it because it throws mud on their political position.
Hey, she goes on to say, and this is really the aspect that we want to engage. It's not the political aspect of it, but it's what's unique to Christian culture. She says it's no secret that our culture, Christian culture, or American culture, and then she connects it to Christian culture. It's no secret that our culture sexually objectifies women, and Christian culture, unfortunately, is not immune to this. As Christians, we frequently decry things like pornography or the sexualization of modern advertising, but we're blind to the ways that our teaching about modesty are the flip side of the same coin. All right, so I'm leaning in. Yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm ready for you to make your case. Show me a blind spot, because I've got a couple of daughters. I got a wife. I want to know. I'm taking you seriously.
Yeah. And so I'm
on the hook.
And I was too. And so am I. But I was also thinking as I read that it's not just our culture that objectifies women. It's a systemic issue in fallen male humanity. But anyway,
sure.
Let's just continue.
So she goes on to say, it may seem counterintuitive, but our concept of modesty is rooted in the idea that women are sexual objects. When we see a woman and condemn her clothing choices, we've accepted the idea that a woman's body is primarily sexual. Mike, you're the dad of a daughter. I'm the dad of a couple of daughters. How does that strike you? Do you want your daughters and your sons to practice modesty? And if yes, have you come to terms with the fact that you're objectifying your daughter?
Okay. I agree with her that asking women to wear a gunny sack is ridiculous, but I'm crying foul a little bit on this. 99% of the male population is going to oogle over short skirts, short pants, cleavage, and tight shirts. Is there any question that these types of things speak to an embrace of our over-sexualized culture? A woman's body is sexual to the sin nature of men. I'm not sure what primarily is supposed to mean when she says that, but it doesn't matter if a woman has a PhD and is a recognized genius. If she walks into a room with a black leather miniskirt on, the men will undress her with their minds and the women will think she's a tramp. So good luck changing that. The Bible talks about modesty in terms of holiness, going against the grain of culture and rejecting things that draw attention to yourself or show a lack of propriety. I'm not sure we can feminize and liberate our way out of that reality.
All right, so here's the question. Are women, especially in the Christian culture, responsible for if men lust after her? We're going to answer that question after the break.